Hi, and welcome to Preview. My name is Giampapa. Preview.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, cue guy.
Hello and welcome to Preview. You know, in our last program, our guest was Christina Pecci, a lovely young lady who was taking on the role of Mary Poppins at the Company Theatre in Norwell. I'm pleased to report Christina created a memorable role, one I will not forget. The opening night audience gave its approval to a young lady with a golden voice, and sure enough, Mary Poppins is a delight to see on the stage or suspended in air with her bag and umbrella. The large cast supported Christina in song and dance. Overall, Mary Poppins is a sure bet for young and old alike. It's the perfect holiday show for the entire family. It's well produced, and credit must go to Zoe Bradford and Jodie Saucerman for their crisp direction. Michael V. Jordan conducted the orchestra and brought the music of the Sherman Brothers to life. The choreography was my only objection. It did not have the get up and go that choreographer Sally Ashton Forrest has brought to other company theater productions. There were moments when the dances were not in sync. Blame it on opening night nerves. Sally has done some outstanding work with this company to note the unique style of Chicago. But no matter, Mary Poppins is a sure bet. As in all successful musicals, you will leave the theater humming and singing the score from Mary Poppins. Mary Poppins is the perfect holiday offering. Well, The Little Mermaid. I will always remember Disney's The Little Mermaid as Fiddlehead's final production at the Strand Theatre in Dorchester. It was an absolute delight with a sterling cast of actors led by Jared Trolio as the prince and Jessie Lynn Hart as the Little Mermaid in her first appearance with Fiddlehead. And also in his first appearance here, Andrew Giordano as King Triton, and the veteran actress delightfully played by Shanna Dirick. Jack Kelly as Sebastian, and he steals the show with his antics. A marvelous ensemble of actors make up the cast, and honestly, I have to congratulate Stacy Stevens for his directorial efforts and his exquisite set design and colorful costumes. Stacy is well respected, not only here, but also in New York. I know founding and producing artistic director Meg Fafanoff will agree with me on this. This version of Disney's The Little Mermaid is not to be missed. When the awards start coming in, just remember, I told you so. The Little Mermaid will not be forgotten. Well, now that that's all out of the way, I'd like to introduce our guests. We have David Friday and his lovely wife, Erin, who run the Americana Theatre down in Plymouth.
Thank you for having me.
Now, this is welcome to our show, first of all.
Thank you.
When I first heard about this, Michelle McGrath told me that we had this theater company in Plymouth that I hadn't heard of, but I understand you're now 5 years old. Is that correct?
That is correct. We, up until this past year, though, we have part of the reason why you may not have heard is that we've been a summer company only. This year, our 5th year, we've begun to take the next step to a couple of steps actually to becoming a year-round theater, starting with our upcoming production of It's a Wonderful Life, a live radio play down at the Plymouth Center for the Arts in Plymouth.
You're doing the radio show version of that.
The radio show version. The film version is a little. It'd be a little tough to put on. We found a wonderful adaptation by Joe Landry, who's adapted it and cut it down to. Well, you can actually you can cast it from anywhere from 5 to as many people as you want, and we're going with the bare minimum. We've got 5 cast members, 5 actors, portraying over 40 plus voices.
Is this a 1-hour show?
It's gonna probably run about an hour and a half with no intermission.
Yeah, you know, it's not unusual for movies to be adapted to radio. You know, I'm not sure how old you are, but in the old days, we had the Lux Radio Theater with Cecil B. DeMille hosting, and he would take the current movies and adapt them for radio. And I mean, people love that.
That's exactly.
It's like a forgotten art today, though.
That's exactly what we're doing right now with this too. There's been a number of challenges in doing it, but one of the biggest challenges is the Foley, the sound effects that we do. Foley it seems to be has become somewhat of a lost art.
Yes.
Everything's digital now. Everything's done, with recordings and. Where our show is set in the 1940s in a radio station, they had they had all of these things, all of these gadgets that
Right.
they would use for sound effects that people just don't use anymore. And it's been a lot of fun trying to put all those things together and trying to figure out. But it's also been a challenge because not only do we have to find all of these sound effects, but since the show is set in a 1940s radio station, we have to have these sound effects that are also appropriate for the period of time to make these sounds with.
That alone is a challenge.
Very much so.
Yeah, it's of all the arts we have today, movies, television, theater, radio is probably the most creative of all of them. I mean, you really have to use your noggin to create.
Well, and it's interesting because there are certain sound effects that we had to make devices that they used back in the 1940s, but there's also, some of the things like using pine cones, crunching them up to make ice breaking, things in nature that just naturally make these sounds that if you close your eyes, it becomes something else.
Yes.
So that's one of the novelties of the show is you see all these everyday used objects or things from nature and turn them into something that they're not.
And I think along the lines of what you were saying about radio, it's funny because everybody thought with TV and then later on with the internet that radio was just going to die, was going to go away. And
A lot of people thought that.
a lot of people thought that, and especially with I remember specifically with the advent of the compact disc, everybody thought, there goes radio. Radio is just as strong as
it's
it ever was,
flourishing
and it's
today,
not going to go away. It's but the creative aspects of it, you're right, are incredibly strong.
Well, is this the beginning of a new season for your theater?
It's the end of the 2015 season. This is the end of it.
Oh, okay. Oh, so you're signing off with a radio play.
We originally had we originally did the Three Musketeers this past summer at the Spire in Plymouth, and things were sort of up in the air with the company. But then Aaron and I decided to take over and shift things around a little, and the first thing we wanted to do was one of the problems was before we were a summer company. So the summer would end and we would sort of fall out of the public consciousness. So one of the things we wanted to emphasize right away was getting back in there and getting into those people's minds that we're still here.
Yeah.
And the best way to do that wasn't necessarily to start a new season right away, but it was to, this is kind of diminishing it a little, but putting a tag on the 2015 season. And something like a Christmas show is an obvious way to keep that public consciousness, and especially to do a recognized title like It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah. Well, now that you're starting, when you're going to start your 6th year, what are your plans?
Oh, well, to grow is really the basis of what we're trying to do. We're still kicking around some ideas, but we're expanding the season, the professional company season. We're going to try to do, we'd like to do four shows, one in each season.
Yeah.
But our other emphasis is going to be, and Aaron could probably tell you a little more about this. Aaron is our Director of Education.
Okay.
We're expanding the education program as well. Over the summer, we had a summer camp for kids that we did.
Wow.
We did. It was a 2 weeks. The kids did a production of Cinderella.
Oh, how nice.
And then just recently we started our first semester of classes. We had classes for kids of any age, including adults.
Expand on this. Tell me more about this education for children.
Well, it's not only for children. That's one of the things we're trying to offer it to anyone who wants to learn more about theater.
Okay.
In fact, when we first came in and decided to do this education program, a lot of the adults in the Plymouth area said, "Are you going to have any adult classes?" And it's not something we actually consciously came up with. It was because people had started saying, there's not anything for adults as far as theater goes. Like, you can get involved with community theaters, but there's no classes, there's no teaching technique. And so that's one of the things David has taken on. He teaches he actually teaches middle school, high school, and adults, and I take care of the elementary kids right now. We'd like to expand where we're hiring more teachers. So coming up in January, we're starting our second semester. It's our winter semester, and we're going to be doing two elementary aged performances. One is going to be Alice in Wonderland and one is going to be Wizard of Oz. And then we're going to do a middle high school performance of Bye Bye Birdie Jr.
Wow.
And then in the spring, we will probably offer more classes because the winter we're kind of doing performance-based everything. So in the spring, we'll probably
We'll go to a more traditional classes. So
Yeah,
we'll have elementary, junior high, high school, adult, and then we have acting classes. Well, we have a page-to-stage class where the kids write and perform their own show. We have a cabaret, musical cabaret, where kids perform songs. We have acting, and one of the things that we're offering that we've had some call for, and we think it's sort of helping us find our niche in the area, is we're offering music theater classes as well. So where kids actually get up and instead of a lot of kids will take voice lessons, or people, not just kids, people will take singing lessons. And they'll take the singing lessons, and that's wonderful. I think everybody should, because personally I think everybody can sing and should. But what's usually lacking is combining the acting aspects with the singing aspects, so that while you're out there singing, you know what to do.
Right. Yep.
So that's one of the things that we're emphasizing as well with our program, to sort of give us our niche in the area.
Let me ask you this. Do you get funding, outside funding, for your work?
We get some.
Does the state cooperate, Massachusetts?
There are grants out there that we have applied for.
we're still waiting to hear.
There are grants are tough. Grant writing is it's one of those things that it's a full-time job in itself just to write grants. So we do rely on outside donations and outside funds, and that's just another aspect of growing what we're doing and growing the business side of it, is finding the funds to keep going.
Yeah, that's probably the most difficult thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
big challenge.
And it's so uncertain all the time.
Absolutely.
I mean, you go day to day on stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, this is another reason for the emphasis on the education program as well, because while what we love to do is get up and perform ourselves and do the main stage shows, getting kids involved in teaching, that's really where you're going to make your living, if that's
right.
and
really that is so wonderful. Well, you get kids involved in things like that. Boy, you're doing a great service. You
well,
really, truly are.
And it's truly wonderful. I'll share a little anecdote with you. One of our kids, a young boy, he's autistic and he's diabetic, and he
faces a lot of challenges.
In his life, and he was in our production of Peter Pan. Had a wonderful time, and we recently got a note from a picture from his mother. He did a Thanksgiving turkey thing at school, and on each feather he had to write what he was thankful for, and one of them was the Americana Theatre.
Really?
Yeah.
And that's really what keeps us going.
Wow, I think that's fantastic.
Above the money, above wanting to do the arts, it's things like that that really keep us going.
Well, and
really
theater
keep
is
us
so
excited.
hectic and stressful, and you feel like you're in a frenzy at all time, and then something like that comes along, and you're like, wow, that was worth it.
It's such great satisfaction.
Yes.
Amazing
It really,
satisfaction.
truly
It warms. I'm getting chills even just thinking about it now.
I can understand that. Yeah.
It's wonderful, though. More fulfilling than I even imagined when we started doing it.
Well, we've talked about the theater in general. We talked about the play that you're doing right now, the radio play. And David, you have brought someone else here. I wonder if you would introduce him.
Of course, we have with us Nick Mitchell, the director of It's a Wonderful Life.
We're going to take a pause right here now. Aaron, I want to thank you for being on our show.
Thank you for having me.
And now we have Nick Mitchell, who is the director of It's a Wonderful Life, the radio show at Americana Theatre. Welcome to our show.
Well, thanks for having me, Guy.
Okay, what are the problems with directing? Put you on the spot right away.
What are the problems? They're challenges, first of all.
Okay.
We're here to tell a story that everybody already knows. And there's a balance between giving people what they're expecting and what they want, and creating something new for them to enjoy. There's a lot of expectations attached to It's a Wonderful Life. It's been around a little while. And I think a better director than I, named Frank Capra, told the story pretty well already.
I know the man very well.
Well, you are lucky.
Yes,
you are
yeah,
lucky.
very, very fortunate. That is, you know, when that movie first came out, it was a flop. And for many years, people ignored it. And then all of a sudden, it just blossomed and came to life, and everybody was running it on television. I mean, it wasn't until about, I think, 2 or 3 years ago that NBC was able to grab the rights so that no one else could use it. And it's theirs, you know.
And they're not letting those go.
No, they're not. But that doesn't apply to the radio show. That's just for the film, right?
It doesn't. Joe Landry got access to the script, and he did get permission from, I'm not sure if it was the estate of Capra, I'm not sure exactly
Probably.
where he got it to adapt it. There's actually 2 adaptations of Wonderful Life out there. I'm not sure who wrote the second, but we liked Landry's better, so we're attacking it that way.
I think Capra owned all his films. He had some kind of a deal with Harry Cohen at Columbia, you know, where they were his. You know.
We knew it couldn't have been George Lucas's idea in the first place. Somebody had to be smarter than him first.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, it must be a thrill to direct a play like that.
It is. I mean, it's a responsibility as well. The thing that I really enjoy about the radio adaptation of it is it takes us to a point where we live in such a digital world where things are on our time.
Yeah.
We DVR shows, we take anything that we want, we have our music with us everywhere we go. And it's taken us away from the time where we would all gather together. I remember growing up. I tell this story, The Sound of Music would be on, and I would be allowed to stay up and watch The Sound of Music. It was only on once a year,
Right.
But I had to go to bed when they sang Goodnight Farewell. And so until I was 13, I didn't know how it ended.
Really?
I mean, I figured it out. I did some research. But it was only on at that time. And if you wanted to see it, you had to gather as a family and do it. And radio shows were the same way, where everybody would gather in a room
That's right.
and listen to the show as it happened. And I think it's a great reminder, especially with a story like this, that the people that you gather with, the people whose lives you've touched, get together at a certain time and listen to an event as it happens. And the theater's always been like that too. It's
Same way, yeah.
so
And you remember it the next day you're talking about it.
exactly.
Always, yeah. What else have you done, Nick?
In Pittsburgh, I went to school at Oklahoma City University, where I studied music theater. And then I moved to New York City, where I was a very successful bartender because I never went to any auditions. And I realized that I was lacking a little something in my life.
Are you going to mix the drinks after the show?
Whatever you like, I know it. And I had a friend who started a theater in Pittsburgh. And he called me one day to be in a show in A Few Good Men. And I went and worked for him. And by the end of the run of that show, I had bought into the company and stayed there. And in Pittsburgh, I reawakened my love of the arts, and I directed for his company for a while. And while I was in Pittsburgh, I found that I could reach out to a lot of companies. It's a rich theatrical town. A lot of people don't realize that.
It is, I know it is.
And for the past 7 years, I've worked with the Pittsburgh CLO in their education department. And when David and Aaron came out here, it was something that really appealed to me. As soon as he sat down at a very popular coffee shop and told me about the opportunity, and I said, go. And he said, well, the kids, the house. And I said, go. And I said, as soon as you can afford me, I'll follow you. And they said, we can't bring you on full time, but can you come and be a part of this rebirth of this company that's been around for 5 years and wasn't floundering by any stretch, but it's got new life breathed into it. And Derek and Jennifer, who started it, are still around. They're still active, coming back to see the show. They still talk to us every time I get emails. And now all of a sudden this family affair just keeps getting bigger and bigger. And I'm in it, the year 5 ground floor. And it's very exciting.
Is this your first endeavor with Americana?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes, it
Okay.
is.
And you plan on staying, right, David?
If I can find a way to keep him, I
You
certainly
will
would.
keep him, yeah.
Thank you. That's where the grant writing comes in.
Yeah, I guess
yeah.
so, yeah.
I would be very happy to. I haven't spent this much time in Massachusetts before either, and I find as I get older, which I still have a little ways to go to catch up, but you walk around cities, and some cities you enjoy, and some cities are just buildings. And I found that all the cities I've been to, all the little neighborhoods, the Quincy, the Carver, the Plymouth, even the Boston, they all have a certain charm to them. The New England mystique isn't a myth.
That's right.
It's
it is
real.
It really is, yeah. There's something about the South Shore of Massachusetts that I love. I'm a stranger north of Boston, but south, I love it. I just love it. There's so much to do.
I was a stranger south of Boston on the South Shore until a week ago, and now all of a sudden I feel like family. So
And you're going to love it in the summer.
well,
truly.
they have to stop bringing me in for just the seasonal plays in the winter. I hear that you have beaches and things like that.
Oh, yeah,
so
yeah, we've got them all.
that's going in my next contract rider. I don't need a raise. I just want nice weather.
Okay, you've got it. Well, we don't have much time left, but I did want to talk to David about one other thing.
Yes.
I understand that you have a small part in Love the Coopers.
I do. It's a very small part. Yeah. In fact, it was one of those so small that I wasn't sure I was going to make it in.
Well, you did.
Yes, but I did. And I've been told that I haven't seen it yet myself. You run into theater, you don't have much time to do much else.
Yeah.
I was a Christmas caroler in Love the Coopers. I spent 12 hours in a grocery store singing the same line of a Christmas carol, of certain Christmas carol, over and over and over and over again. The hardest part of doing it was that we were walking through the grocery store, and we weren't allowed to sing out loud. Mm-hmm. So we actually had to have someone hiding below following us with a click track so we could all mouth the words at the same time. But tiny little part. I wouldn't say rush out to see me, but I did have a lot of fun doing that.
Did you get to see any of the leads, Diane Keaton or June Squibb or
yes,
John
actually,
Goodman?
Diane Keaton and John Goodman.
Yeah.
The scene, we walk right up into their faces and start singing right into their faces. So yes, we were mere feet away from them. June Squibb was there as well.
Yeah. She's fabulous.
Oh, yes.
I love her.
Oh, yes.
I mean, I've seen her in a lot of movies lately.
But Diane Keaton, John Goodman, they were so very nice, so very complimentary, and it was a wonderful experience. Always.
I have yet to see the film. I'm a member of the Broadcast Film Critics Association, and we vote Critics' Choice Awards in January. And I'm looking forward to getting a screener, which is coming any day now, I hope.
Well, I look forward to that nomination for Best Featured Third Caroler from the
How
Left.
much are you going to pay me to vote?
I work in theater.
It's another grant.
Okay.
It's another grant, guys.
Listen, you guys, congratulations on Americana Theatre.
Thank you so much.
I think you've got a great opportunity. You've got a great future ahead of you, and I wish you all the best of luck, and the same with your wife, your lovely wife, and the rest of the cast.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks
Thanks,
for being
Guy.
on
Thanks,
the
Guy.
show. Well, that's our show for this time. You're watching Preview. My name is Guy Giampapa. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye-bye.